power, money, influence. In the highest echelons of society, these are the currencies that shape worlds and sometimes subvert justice. Some crimes are never fully punished. Some names remain unspoken, shielded by layers of legal protection and social insulation. Some files stay unopened, their contents locked away from public view. The following program deals with sensitive subject matter, including descriptions of abuse drawn from court records. Viewer discretion is advised. To understand the story, we must first understand the man at its center. Jeffrey Epstein began, not in the world of finance, but in academia, a math teacher at a prestigious private school. He possessed a unique ability to cultivate relationships with the wealthy and powerful, parlaying these connections into a career in finance. He founded his own firm, J. Epstein & Co., operating with a level of secrecy that became his trademark. His client list was famously exclusive, rumored to include only billionaires. This financial empire afforded him an extravagant lifestyle: a sprawling townhouse on Manhattan's Upper East Side, a private estate in Palm Beach, a ranch in New Mexico, a secluded apartment in Paris, and a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands, known as Little St. James. But by the mid-2000s, allegations of sexual abuse began to surface in Florida. An FBI investigation was launched, leading to a potential 53-page federal indictment. Yet, in 2008, that indictment never came. Instead, Epstein secured a now infamous non-prosecution agreement with federal prosecutors. He pleaded guilty to 2 state-level prostitution charges, served a mere 13 months in a county jail with generous work release privileges, and registered as a sex offender. The deal also provided immunity from federal prosecution for Epstein and any potential co-conspirators. For over a decade, this agreement effectively closed the book on the federal case, leaving victims and observers questioning how such a resolution was reached. The case files and subsequent testimony describe a sophisticated and highly organized operation. At its core was a network of enablers and associates. Court documents allege that young women and girls were recruited from seemingly ordinary circumstances, often from disadvantaged backgrounds. They were drawn in with promises of money, education, and opportunity. The logistics were extensive. Flight logs from Epstein's private jet, a Boeing 727 nicknamed the Lolita Express by the media, documented frequent travel between his various properties. These logs, later made public through court proceedings, listed a wide array of prominent figures from politics, business, academia, and entertainment. While a name on a flight log is not evidence of wrongdoing, the records paint a picture of a vast and influential social circle, a world where access and proximity to Epstein were considered valuable commodities. The story did not end in 2008. In July 2019, federal prosecutors in New York arrested Jeffrey Epstein again, this time on charges of sex trafficking of minors. The new indictment alleged a continuation of his abuse for years after his Florida plea deal. The legal battle that followed was intense. Prosecutors argued he was a danger to the community and a significant flight risk, citing his wealth, foreign ties, and private aircraft. His defense team argued for bail, proposing a strict home confinement plan. During bail hearings, the court heard powerful and harrowing impact statements from numerous women who came forward, many for the first time, to describe the abuse they endured and the lifelong trauma it caused. The judge ultimately denied bail, and Epstein was held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. Then, on August 10, 2019, he was found dead in his cell. The New York City medical examiner ruled his death a suicide, a conclusion his own legal team publicly questioned. His death ended the criminal case against him but ignited a new phase of legal action, as civil lawsuits and the investigation into his alleged co-conspirators continued. The evidence trail is not one of rumor or speculation. It is a vast and complex mosaic built from official sources. It includes thousands of pages of court documents from multiple jurisdictions, containing motions, indictments, and judicial rulings. It includes sworn depositions, where individuals provided testimony under oath. It includes exhibits filed in court, photographs, financial records, and the previously mentioned flight logs. There are property records that detail his vast real estate holdings and the complex web of shell corporations used to manage them. This series will focus on what is documented and verified within this public record. We will distinguish between what has been proven in court, what has been alleged in legal filings, and what remains part of an ongoing investigation. The facts, as recorded in these files, form the only reliable pathway through the noise. Despite the volume of information, critical questions persist, pointing toward significant institutional failures. How was the 2008 non-prosecution agreement, which shielded so many, allowed to happen? A subsequent investigation by the Department of Justice's Office of Professional Responsibility concluded that the lead federal prosecutor at the time, Alexander Acosta, exercised poor judgment but did not commit professional misconduct that would warrant disciplinary action. Questions also surround the Bureau of Prisons and the circumstances of Epstein's death. 2 guards responsible for monitoring him were charged with falsifying records, later admitting they had failed to perform their required checks. These charges were dropped after they fulfilled the terms of a deferred prosecution agreement. These documented failures and oversight, both in the initial prosecution and in his final detention, have left a lasting stain on the institutions tasked with upholding the law, fueling public distrust, and a demand for greater accountability that continues to this day. This series will not offer easy answers because none exist. Instead, we will navigate the documented facts. We will review the records, examine the court files, and piece together the timelines as they have been entered into the public domain. This is a story about the mechanisms of power and the systematic failures that allowed a predator to operate with impunity for decades. It is a story found not in headlines, but in the fine print of legal filings and the sworn words of those who survived. We invite you to watch with a critical eye, to weigh the evidence presented, and to draw your own conclusions based on the documented record. This is the Epstein Files.